Hey you guys, it's Crystal from the Abundantly Blessed Homestead. This video is going to be much different than any other video on my channel, but I'm feeling led to post this video anyway. This video is going to be about my second trimester 14-week miscarriage. This video is obviously not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. I'm going to be discussing how I'm coping with it. I'm 3 days post the event. I'm going to be talking about natural miscarriage at home, how it can be safe. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around for that. It's probably all going to be mixed together, to be honest, you guys. I just have a lot in my brain right now, and I feel like I want to pull out the camera because I don't want to forget everything. And I feel like time is a healer, and that's great. But I don't want to forget all of the little things that I have seen that have helped me get through this, because I know I'm not the only person out there, and I'm not the only woman out there that is going to have a miscarriage and have to go through the healing process of it. And I am not going to sit here and say I'm done with my healing. God is just getting started. And so basically, stick around for those details. That's what we're going to talk about. So basically, I had my midwife appointment at 14 weeks. And because, if you're new to the channel, this is not my first baby. This would be baby number 6 for me. And basically because of that, the midwife agreed to space our beginning appointments out further than what she typically would, because this isn't my first pregnancy. It's not my first rodeo, and not much happens in those beginning appointments. So she arrived at the home and everything was fine with me, and then we went to go check on baby, and there was no heartbeat. I will say that right away, when she got out the ultrasound, that was a huge gift for my family. Typically, ultrasound facilities don't allow more than like 3 people. It's been that way for years, even before COVID. They don't allow more than 3 people inside the room with you when you're having an ultrasound. And so the benefit to having the midwife here at our farm was that my entire family got to see the baby on ultrasound. And that was really, really special for our family. So that was the first gift that I feel like God gave our family, was that our kids were excited that they got to see the little baby on the screen. I noticed right away, obviously, there was no heartbeat, no movement. And the midwife handled it very, very tactfully. She didn't announce anything in front of my family, which I really appreciated. I had asked her a couple of questions, and judging from those questions, the answers I received, I knew the baby was no longer living. My children, however, did not. So basically, she left, and of course, after she left, I was just grief-stricken and was crying for hours, pretty much. And I feel like that's a normal response when you lose a baby or a child. Grief comes on pretty strong. So basically, I had a couple of choices. I could get an ultrasound at a facility and then be transferred for a DNC, or stay at home and see how things went. This next comment that's about to come out of my mouth is not coming out of my mouth to judge anyone, but for me, I was not comfortable with a DNC if I didn't have to have one. So I chose to have what's called a natural miscarriage. So to remain at home and, in my opinion, have a home birth. And I chose this because it was the most natural, and I just felt like if I don't have to have the baby scraped out of me, I would rather have the baby just remove itself naturally. And so that's what my husband and I chose to do. There are risks, and you're going to find plenty of them if you are clicking on this video to learn about natural miscarriage. You will learn all of the risks and the scary things. However, in my research, I found out that one of the top reasons why you have retained tissue within your uterus during a natural miscarriage is that you have not emotionally worked through letting go of your baby. So there's a portion of the brain that hangs on to part of that child because you're not ready to let go. So part of my healing started when my contractions started pretty much right away after the midwife had left. My mom was able to come get the children, and pretty much when the contractions had started, they went all night, and my body followed a very regular pattern of labor. Like I said, this is my 6th child, so my body knows what to do. Basically, in the early stages of labor, it was in the middle of the night, and I am a spiritual person. I have a relationship with God. And so I just sat up and sang the hymn, It Is Well, repeatedly. This hymn is very, very special to me. It was the hymn that we sang to my grandmother when she passed away. And so I just wanted to prepare, like, even my soul to be okay with this little baby that was already passed away, passing out of my body, and that this little soul was already in the hands of the Lord anyway, and just to wrap my mind and my soul around the idea of being okay with the situation was what my goal was. So I basically sat up for a couple of hours singing It As Well and a few other hymns, and just praising God that I got the time I got with this little baby. I will say that my entire pregnancy, I was terrified of losing this baby. It is a very, very scary, risky time to be pregnant these days. Miscarriages have gone through the roof. There are tons of causes, and I'm not here to lay my finger on any one cause. It's just a very scary time to be pregnant. Basically, I mean, we have COVID that's going around and killing unborn babies and affecting placentas, and that's just the surface of the scary things for someone who is pregnant. And I did feel that fear. So this is basically my worst fear coming true with this pregnancy. So I just needed to, like, get my head clear about being okay with this. So then I went back to sleep, and my labor took off at about 6:30. And like I said, I'm going to spare the gory details because I know men do watch my videos. But basically my labor followed a regular labor pattern, and active labor was only about an hour and a half. And then my water broke, and then my contractions stopped. And it was in that moment that fear struck me, because what if nothing progresses? Because I had started to bleed at that point. And so I thought about calling my midwife, and I knew exactly what my midwife was going to say, which was, trust your body, it knows what it's doing. And so it was in that moment that I decided that out loud to myself, I was going to say the phrase, I trust my body, it knows what it's doing, and I release this baby from my body. Come on out, baby. Mommy is ready to hold you. And I kept saying this phrase over and over and over again, because I wanted to get it in my mind that I'm okay with this baby completely passing from my body. And I'm excited. I'm excited to hold this baby, even if the baby was passed away. And I don't know how long I said those things to myself. When you're in labor, your perception of time is gone. So if I had to guess, it was probably about 10 minutes of just continually saying it. It could have been less. Maybe it was only 5. I'm not sure. But my contractions did pick back up. I will say pushing was much different this time. When you are full term, your uterus comes all the way to the top of your rib cage, and so your muscles in that area can help to compress the uterus. This time those muscles were trying to compress the uterus, but my uterus was just a 14-week uterus, which means it's nowhere close to my rib cage. And so through this process, I actually ended up pulling all of the muscles in my stomach, and could not sit up for a day and a half. I'm obviously sitting in front of you now. Yes, I am still taking it easy. Today was my first day where I was allowed out of bed. I stayed on bed rest since the 1st, and today is, I don't know what today is. What is today? Today's the 4th, so 3 days. But basically, and then the little baby was born. And I am here to witness to you that no matter what you've been told, babies at 10 weeks in the first trimester, because that's how old ours actually was when it passed away, it was 10 weeks. They have a body. It is not a clump of cells. It is a little baby with 10 fingers, toes, feet, legs, everything, a face, eyes. It is a human. And to claim that it's anything less than that is a disgrace and a disservice and a lie, an absolute lie. So don't let anyone ever tell you that they're not a human, that they have no feeling. And They are. It's a baby, guys. It's a baby. So sparing gory details once again, the placenta was delivered a short time later. God has prepared me. I had home birth, or not home births, but I guess it kind of are. I went to Minnesota with a midwife for the last 3 babies and was able to see my placenta and know what an intact placenta looks like versus a non-intact placenta. And mine was intact. And I went ahead and called my midwife just to make sure I was right. And of course I was. And I didn't have much bleeding. That's all I'm going to say about it, guys. Trying to keep it PG for the men here, like Carl and a couple others that watch. So you may be thinking to yourself, how can I be smiling 3 days after I just lost a baby? And my answer to that is God is absolutely amazing. I started having the community around me start bringing me meals, and I started realizing that they were all using my cookbook. When I put out my cookbook a few months ago, I had actually ordered the cookbook when my baby was still alive. And by the time those cookbooks were delivered 2 weeks later, we're calling him Benjamin. My little Benjamin would have already been passed away in my stomach, and I didn't know it. So as I was handing cookbooks to the local people here, little did I know that I was being used by God to equip the people around me to be able to provide meals for my family during this time. And they've stepped up. And if you're one of them watching this video, thank you so much for allowing God to use you in this moment. And that was just one of the things that I feel like God had a hand in. God had a hand in my my birth. My body followed my exact pattern, always does. And in that, I found comfort. There was no fear on my birth. I don't like the phrase suffered a miscarriage. I feel like I didn't suffer, you guys. I feel like I had my home birth that I've always wanted right here on the farm with my husband. It was unassisted, which I didn't ever want, but it was a home birth nonetheless. And also because of the nature and the size of Benjamin, there are people who know me whose views about when life starts, they are being challenged. Also, there are relationships in my life that I can just see God working. And there's a lot of healing there through this whole process. My best friend, I call her my sister, like she is always there for me, is actually gone. She's in Wisconsin at this time, and it's been heart-wrenching to not have her as a support. But I will say that God has used other people in her absence, and that I have not lacked care. I have not lacked a single meal. I have not lacked compassion from those other people, and had my closest soul sister, love you, Samantha, had you been here, you would have filled in a lot of the blanks, and it would have been harder for me to see how God has used this for such a bigger purpose than what I could have ever imagined. Not many of you guys know that we didn't really plan this pregnancy, and so when I found out I was pregnant, I started to freak out. I had no baby stuff. We had gotten rid of all of that. William is going to be 4, you guys, so this was not planned. And since the beginning, I just heard God say, you didn't plan this, I did. I need you to let go. And so I began to let go of being so stressed out about getting baby stuff and baby clothes and all of the things that I didn't have, and feeling so unprepared. And within weeks, people that I knew here locally were stepping up who had just had babies and were offering all of their baby equipment for free for me to use, and I could just return it when I was finished. And so when I look back, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm sitting here 3 days postpartum from losing my child. And what I can tell you is that you have 2 options. My grief started out as, how could this happen to me? I went through a horrible first trimester full of lots of sickness, and I sacrificed a lot for my family, and my family lacked, I'm going to be honest, in those weeks that I was so sick. We skipped a lot of functions and a lot of fun events we could have went to, and had to pass on a lot of things. And my grief started out focusing on everything I had lost. And I think that that's normal. then my mind switched to all of the pain that I had to go through to bring forth this life into the world that was already past. And I believe that's normal as well. And then my mind went to, how can I go from being pregnant to not being pregnant anymore so quickly and not having a baby? That's a very empty feeling. And I believe that's normal. From the people I've talked to that have had miscarriages, the feeling of empty womb is a real deal. But what I will tell you is, in that moment, after all of that anger and sadness, I chose to ask why. And though I will never know the exact reason why Benjamin passed away, what I will tell you is that I asked God to start showing me the ways he was working even in this. And that's when I started realizing that the people around me were using my cookbook. That's when I realized that I had published this cookbook in a hurry. Yes, guys, there's some errors. I've been finding them while I'm on bed rest. I'm getting ready to put in another order and I'm fixing all of the errors. But basically, there was a purpose. There was a reason I felt the need to get the cookbook out so quickly. There was a purpose in every single person who purchased a cookbook. There was a purpose in the midwife coming the day she did so that we could all see the baby on ultrasound. God has had this since the very beginning, and God continues to have it. And when you realize that, and you start to realize all of the ways that your pregnancy had impacted the people around you and even impacted me, it's changed my relationship and my walk with the Lord. It's changed the way I view life. It's changed the way I'm a planner. I love planning, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you take it to the extreme and you try to plan out absolutely everything, you take the opportunity away from God to bless you through others. And that's something that Benjamin taught me. Like I said, there's been a lot of healing in my life, in relationships through all of this. There's been challenges to people's beliefs. There's been people that I never expected to step up and be there for me, to be there for me. And when you start focusing on all of the things that Benjamin's life here, just 10 short weeks, accomplished, it makes it so much easier to give your grief to God and be able to step forward and accept that little Benjamin, his life was only supposed to be 10 weeks. It wasn't supposed to be a second longer, a year longer. His life, his soul was never meant to be here on the earth walking. He was meant to be within me, to make changes within me and make changes within others. And when you're in those dark moments, if you can focus on all the ways God has gone before you and all the ways God's prepared you for this very moment, you will see them, and I can guarantee you it will help you with your grief. You can give your broken heart to God, and God will carry your grief. And I'm not going to sit here and say I don't still get emotional or still cry or still have hard times. You guys can already hear it in my voice. This video is really hard for me to make right now. But I also didn't want to forget all of the ways that God has been working. And I didn't want to forget Benjamin. His life has value. And even though he never took a breath, he's accomplished a lot more than some people. And I just feel it in my soul, and I feel it just everywhere, that he didn't live a day too short. He was here how long he was supposed to be. And so that is my birth story. That is my current grief state. I'm doing very, very well. I know a lot of you guys have been praying for me and my family. Please keep the prayers up. I don't expect this to be a short process at all. But I will tell you that my joy in the Lord is what's carrying me through this tough time. And the joy and the knowledge that little Benjamin is in heaven, and that his life had value, his life had impact, and his life mattered. Really, really helps. So I can firmly say that even though we live in a scary world, for those of us who are still having babies, that nothing can happen to those little babies that isn't allowed through God's hands, which means that if you are facing infant loss right now, you're watching this video and you're facing exactly what I have gone through, just please hold on to the fact that this has already gone through God's hands, which means he's already gone before you and he's already prepared you for this very moment, and that your little one lived as long as it was supposed to. That was the life, even though it's hard to grasp that you won't have first words or first foods or rolling over or first steps or first laughs. Even though all of those firsts you feel like they've been stripped from you, you have to take that thought and focus back on everything that little life did while it was here. Because that is where you will find joy, that is where you will find peace, and that is where you will be able to handle your grief and have peace beyond understanding. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I know this is a heavier video. I know that not everyone is going to watch it. I hope it comforts everyone who's pregnant right now to realize that your little baby has a purpose, and no matter how long or short their life is, that they have a purpose, and that just focus on those things and be grateful for what you have right now. As far as the channel goes, I have gotten a ton of meals, you guys, from the community. I have more coming today. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back at cooking, and that is why I'm not going to be doing live cooking classes for a while. It's not because I don't want to be around you guys. I love you guys. You guys have meant so much to me, and we've built such a community here in the last year. But if I'm not up on my feet cooking, I don't have cooking videos. Basically, if I start making things like granola or something else, I will do recorded videos and post them here on the channel. But as far as a live, I'm going to hold off until I'm actually cooking a meal that we actually need, because right now this white refrigerator behind me is our secondary fridge and it's completely full of meals. So I for sure I'm not going to be doing a cooking class video on January 10th, because I can guarantee you I'm still going to have meals. Now, the following week, which would be January 17th, that's probably going to be when we're going to start cooking. I will let you guys know, though. For updates, please stay tuned to the community section of this YouTube page, and you will find details and updates on me and my family, and just keep your eyes open for a pre-scheduled event, hopefully on the 17th. But guys, I'm doing extremely well. Keep lifting me up in your prayers, and lift my family up in your prayers. And thank you to everyone who has gone above and beyond locally to care for my family during this time. It means a lot. And just remember Benjamin, you guys. If you're going through a tough time, just remember Benjamin's story and my testimony involving only having him for 10 weeks. So just cling to God and allow him to show you all the ways he's gone before you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys made it all the way to the end, God bless you. And I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.